Hi, welcome to Hardcover Feedback. I'm Brandi Smits,
I'm Tracey Hill.
and today we'll be talking to you about Soulless by Gail Carriger.
Alexa Terabati is a woman without a soul who is viewed as unable to marry. She's forced to work with werewolf Lord Conall Macon to clear her name after she accidentally kills a vampire and is suspected to be behind the random appearance and disappearance of vampires. Can she figure out what is actually happening to London's high society? Will her soulless ability to negate supernatural powers prove useful or just plain embarrassing?
Okay, let's see. Miss Terabati generally kept her soulless state quite hush-hush, even from her own family. She was not undead, mind you. She was a living, breathing human, but was simply lacking. Neither her family nor the members of the social circles she frequented ever noticed she was missing anything. Miss Terabati seemed to them only a spinster whose unfortunate condition was clearly the result of a combination of domineering personality, dark complexion, and overly strong facial features. Alexia thought it too much of a bother to go around explaining soullessness to the ill-formed masses. It was almost, though not quite, as embarrassing as having it known that her father was both Italian and dead. Okay.
So,
This was an interesting Victorian tale, and I've heard it classified as steampunk, but I really don't know if it really would be steampunk. It's more just Victorian.
it's more, it's trying to be Victorian.
It's
Certainly,
trying.
it's set in the Victorian era, and it's written in what is supposed to be Victorian prose, which I thought was a lot wordier than actual Victorian prose is by other writers from that era. And it's supposed to be funny, but that's up in the air too.
But it's like the old school funny, where it's like, oh, that was so good, oh, good job, oh. It's like not really funny. It was like, oh, okay.
It's a lot of puns and
Yeah.
a lot of things that made me groan out loud. And it was a little hard for me to overlook the style to get to the story, which was actually really interesting. And Miss Terabati is actually a very interesting character.
She was like that. I think that, she's quirky, but I think that the author wanted her to be more of like a humorous, hapless, like, oh, everything goes wrong for me all the time, and
Yeah.
it's oh, my life is so amusing with its little mistakes and mishaps and blah blah blah. But
things
no.
Things do go wrong for her all the time. I mean, she's born without a soul, and other people find her odd because she's very outspoken. Her father was Italian, so she doesn't have the classic Victorian paleness that's considered a good thing. She's abrasive to a lot of people. She tangles with the local alpha werewolf, so she's not afraid of messing with people.
No.
And I mean, the opening scene, she's fighting with a vampire, so.
Which wasn't her fault
It was
either.
definitely not her fault. And she's also friends with a vampire, so
And just to interrupt there, he is probably my favorite character in the entire book, is her vampire friend, who I can only really describe as like the Elton John / Liberace of the vampire world.
Absolutely.
Like, he was hysterical.
That was good. Yeah, you got it right there. He was a joy. I liked reading about him. I liked most of the incidental characters, or the supporting cast in this book. A lot of them were really good and interesting. And if it weren't for the trying too hard to sound Victorian, or maybe not trying hard enough to sound Victorian, and definitely trying too hard to be funny, there's actually a really fun adventure story under there.
I agree.
Lots of the action gets rolling, and bad things start happening, and big bad things start happening, but fitting with the internal logic of the story, and then things get rolling, and the progression of the action's really fantastic. I liked that very much.
I do like that it is a vampire and a werewolf story, but it doesn't go so far off the map of what a vampire and a werewolf supposed to be.
Yes,
I mean, yeah, of course, they're not all going to be like evil bloodsuckers, you know, killing everybody, because otherwise the story would be a totally different story. But they're not like running through Washington State sparkling. So that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
A very good thing.
what I also really enjoy is that the author created her own type of creature to make the story work. And that would be the soulless girl who, when she touches a creature like a vampire or werewolf, they lose their ability to be a vampire or werewolf. So she kind of is like the negator of special abilities.
Yeah.
So and she did a good job of creating her own little creature, and sometimes they can get a little wary. But I really did enjoy this book as a whole, despite the trying too hard and the Victorian. Yeah. Besides that, that's the only really big problem that I had with this.
Yeah, I liked it too. And we should maybe mention it's the first in a series that hasn't been around very long.
No.
But there are other books after this. And I was intrigued enough to want to read beyond this first book because, if only because, this type of character, the soulless person who has some sway over every other supernatural creature, that's fascinating. It's like, wow, how did
what's
that
gonna happen next?
Like,
Yeah.
all these questions surrounding her that she can't answer for herself, and she wants to know too. So, you know, I would follow along just to see how that comes out.
And all the answers aren't here. So
Yes, all the answers are not here,
So
and
you
yet,
want to keep reading to figure it out what's going to happen.
right, and yet it's a complete story. It's not like cliffhanger or wait for part 2 of the trilogy or something
It's satisfying.
like that.
The ending is satisfying.
It is, yeah. It's a good. It wraps up without finalizing everything, leaving things plenty open for the next book.
All right. Well, I will give this one 3.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book, but it did a good enough job that I was really interested and wanted to read the next one and whatnot.
Okay, I would give it 3, really because the prose was so jarring to me that it took me a little while to get over that, but I did really ultimately enjoy the story.
Thank you for watching Hardcover Feedback today. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.